Okay, members, a quorum is present. We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for the prayer. We ask our Assembly Chaplain, Father Constantine Papadimos, to offer the day's prayer.
Let us pray. Lord, so much of our life is geared around the concept of completing a task and getting a reward. It's true in education, in the business world, and in politics. But a strong faith in you, or a feeling of closeness to you, Lord, does not always come as a result of accomplishing something or doing something. Guide us to know, Lord, that our faith is like a perpetual flight around your throne and an unyielding dedication to the things of God. Amen.
We ask our guests and visitors to remain standing and join us for the flag salute. Please join Assemblymember Swanson as he leads us in the pledge. Mr. Swanson. You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Thursday, March 15, 2012. The Assembly met at 9 Honorable Fiona Moss, Speaker Pro Tem, is
Mr. Allen moves and Mr. Hagman seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations of petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Messages from the Governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Motions and resolutions. The absences for the day will be deemed read and printed in the journal. Mr. Allen, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 to allow Assembly members Chesbro and Lara to have guests on the floor today.
Without objection.
Madam Speaker, I further request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 to allow Assembly Member Conway to have guests and photographers on the floor.
Without objection.
Yeah, I know. Madam Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rules 45.5 and 118 to allow Assembly Speaker Perez to have guests on the floor and at the rostrum and photographers on the floor and in the gallery for the regular session and State of the Judiciary address today.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I further request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 to allow Assembly members Atkins, Carter, and Speaker Johnny Perez to speak in adjourned memory today.
Without objection.
Thank you. For committee referrals, I'm requesting AB 2151, pursuant to Assembly Rule 96, I'm requesting unanimous consent to refer bills to committee. That would be AB 2151, Halderman, from the Veterans Affairs Committee to the Appropriations Committee.
Without objection, clerk will note.
Thank you. I further request unanimous consent to suspend Joint Rule 62.A and Assembly Rules 56 to allow the Appropriations Committee to hear AB 1585, John Perez, on Thursday, March 22nd, upon call of the chair, and a room to be announced pending re-referral from the Local Government Committee.
Without objection, clerk will note.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Furthermore, at the request of the author, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rules 96 and 63 to withdraw the following bills from the Budget Committee in order to take them up without reference to file for the purpose of second reading today, and order them to third reading for session on Thursday, March 22nd. Those bills are AB 1464 through AB 1499, bills AB 1502 and 1503.
Mr. Hagman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We object to the following motion. Request a roll call vote on the first bill, then request the roll be substitute for all subsequent bills.
Okay, this is a procedural vote, and without objection, we'll substitute the first vote for the rest of the votes. Takes 41 votes. Mr. Allen's asking for an aye vote. Mr. Hagman's asking for a no vote. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Mr. Allen's asking for an aye vote. Mr. Hagman is asking for a no vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 41, noes 19. Motion carries.
And then we have the clerk on the rule suspension. Have the clerk read each bill.
On the rule suspension, the clerk will read each bill and will substitute the vote for each bill. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1464.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1465.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1466.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1467.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1468.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1469.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1470.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1471.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1472.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1473.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1474.
Ayes 41, noes 19. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1475.
Ayes 14, noes 99. Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1476.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1477.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1478.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1479.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1480.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1481.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1482.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1483.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1484.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1485.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1486.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1487.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1488.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1489.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1490.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1491.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1492.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1493.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1494.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1495.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1496.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1497.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1498.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1499.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
Assembly Bill 1502.
Ayes 41, noes 19.
And Assembly Bill 1503.
Ayes 41, noes 19. Okay, we've got some guests here today. Okay, we're trying to introduce guests. Ms. Conway? Ms. Conway at the speaker's desk. Ms. Conway.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I rise to introduce a team that's hard at work to reinvigorate the Central Valley's economy. The average jobless rate in some Central Valley counties is almost 20%, which means it's significantly higher with smaller communities in those counties. We need to get the Valley back to work. And with that, I'd like to introduce this team of job creators from the Central California Valley Economic Development Corporation. Oh, and they miraculously appeared right there. We have Bobby Kahn, John Lane, Cam Malloy, Leanne Eager, and Mike Amon. If you'd please, members, give them a round of applause and welcome them.
Mr. Knight.
Speaker and members, I have one of my all-time favorite people in the back of the legislature here today. Not you, Randy. My oldest son, Christopher Knight, who's coming up here in the next 2 days to look at Sacramento State.
Mr. Lara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Please join me in welcoming 6 dreamers who are walking 3,000 miles from San Francisco to Washington, D.C. to advocate for the passage of the National DREAM Act. After the passage of AB 130 and AB 131 by our colleague Gil Cedillo last year, they are now fighting to ensure that the DREAM Act becomes a reality nationwide. During their 8-month journey, they will visit with over 200 communities to educate folks about the National DREAM Act and learn about local communities' efforts to bring justice to immigrant communities throughout the country. These are young people exemplifying true leadership and commitment to civic engagement. Please join me in welcoming these courageous leaders that will make the dream an opportunity and a reality for all Californians and all Americans. With me are Alex Aldana from California, Lucas da Silva from Florida, Jose Gonzalez from California, Nicolas Gonzalez from Illinois, Rami Gutierrez from Utah, and Jonathan Martinez from Georgia. Please welcome these DREAM Act students.
Okay, we have 3 ACRs on file today. We're going to begin in about a minute as soon as the guests clear the floor and members get back to their desks. Okay, business on the daily file. Second reading. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1464, 1465, 1466, 1467, 1468, 1469, 1470, 1471, 1472, 1473, 1474, 1475, 1476, 1477, 1478, 1479, 1480, 1481, 1482, 1483, 1484, 1485, 1486, 1487, 1488, 1489, 1490, 1491, 1492, 1493, 1494, 1495, 1496, 1497, 1498, 1499, 1502, and Assembly Bill 1503.
All bills will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. We're going to go into the regular session, Assembly third reading, file item 2 and 3, pass and retain. File item 4, ACR 103, clerk will read.
Assembly concurrent resolution 103 by Assembly Member Fong relative to Campus Safety Month.
Mr. Fong.
Madam Speaker and members, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today about the importance of building a safer higher education environment, which is something that I have worked prior to and since my time in the legislature. There are no campuses that I'm aware of that are immune to crime. Today, California public and private colleges and universities are serving over 3.5 million students. With more students in attendance than ever before, colleges and universities must not neglect their duty to protect their students. For this reason, I've introduced ACR 103, declaring March as Campus Safety Month. This resolution will bring awareness to everyone about the importance of safety and the well-being of students. Families and students would be best equipped to make informed higher education decisions when they are provided with timely and accurate academic and public safety information. Therefore, ACR 103 encourages citizens to visit the internet website of the national nonprofit named Security on Campus to view public safety information regarding public colleges and universities. The data will help inform students and families making a college commitment decision. California Coalition Against Sexual Assault has partnered with the Security on Campus, the UCs, the CSUs, community colleges, and the Association of Independent California Colleges and Universities to promote safe campuses and communities. This partnership will bring cohesion and added transparency to information regarding public safety in colleges and universities. California colleges and universities must make their responsibility on campus safety a top priority. It is my hope that ACR 103 can help these campuses fulfill their commitment to the safety, welfare of students. I look forward and remain committed to working with colleges and universities to continue promoting campus safety in California. I'd like to open the first roll for co-authors. Thank you.
Mr. Norby.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support campus safety, along with a lot of other good things like motherhood and apple pie and patriotism and all the things that we should support here. I don't know if we need a resolution for everyone. That's why I'll be laying off this one as I lay off all the ones that come up. I do have some concerns about this one specifically that perhaps the author could address, because I think when we emphasize Campus Safety Month, things like this, it almost seems to be we're emphasizing the negatives, that our campuses are not particularly safe, when in fact crime rates across the board have been going down since the 1970s. And the website that we're asked to refer to in this resolution, I want to reassure the colleague who is sponsoring this that at his alma mater of San Jose State's from 1995 to 2003, violent crime has gone down from 18 to just 4. And in my district, Cal State Fullerton, it's gone from 6 down to 1. So crime rates are going down, and I don't think we want to unnecessarily scare parents who make decisions purely based on that. My son chose USC. It's not in the lowest crime area in the Los Angeles area, but it's a lot lower than it was in the 1970s. Yeah, Malibu, Pepperdine would be safer, but is that the only basis of which you're going to make these decisions? In the mornings and the afternoons, our public schools are filled with overprotective parents insisting on taking their kids and picking them up from school rather than walking 2 or 3 blocks like we used to do for fear of crime. When the biggest threat is that one of the parents, might hit one of the kids. So our concern about crime should be balanced with the facts. And our concern to enlighten parents should also encourage them to take everything into consideration. An urban campus might not be safer than a rural campus, but it might have other things which encourage that trade-off and justify it. I'm also concerned that the website in mind here, and perhaps I read this correctly, I did access it this morning, the crime statistics only up 2003. So for the last 3 years, I couldn't access them on this website that this resolution refers to. Also, the website doesn't have crime rates. It simply gives numerical statistics. So the large campuses with lots of students obviously are going to have more crime, but it doesn't actually break down the crime rates per campus. Maybe I missed something, but I spent quite a bit of time on this website that the resolution refers to, and I don't know if it has the accurate, usable information that parents might need. Thanks.
Mr. Nielsen.
Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the Assembly, I commend Assemblyman Fong for moving this forward. We definitely need to promote safety on our campuses. And I am moved to observe that particularly so now with public safety realignment unfolding and the disaster that is befalling the citizens that we represent on the streets as a product of what all the more now the safety on the campus is going to be necessary. We need to have our professors, administrators, and particularly the students at our campuses be able to take precautions to protect themselves. Because of public safety realignment, our law enforcement is diminished in their ability to do so.
Seeing no further questions or debate, Mr. Fong, you may close and perhaps address Mr. Norby's questions.
Mr. Norby, we'd like to see the campus figures at 0. And, until we get to 0 with crimes, I think this will be a useful tool for people to use to see the amount of crime that goes on in our campuses. And so thank you very much for your question. I request an aye vote and first roll call for co-authors.
Okay, Mr. Fong's asking for the first roll to be open for co-authors. Co-authors, members, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. There are 63 co-authors. We can take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The measure is adopted. File item 5, ACR 111. Clerk will read.
The Assembly concur Resolution 111 by Assemblymember Cook relative to Purple Heart State.
Colonel Cook.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to ask for your support of Assembly Concurrent Resolution 111 to declare California as a Purple Heart State. This resolution is obviously one and near and dear to my heart, no pun intended, but for somebody that has been in combat and seen a number of Marines that have been wounded, and perhaps an even greater impact are those that were killed. You know, it's surprising how many people don't understand what the Purple Heart is. Most of them know that it is for somebody that was wounded in combat. Some of them don't realize that it's actually awarded to those individuals that paid the ultimate price, that were killed in combat. This is sponsored by the Military Order of the Purple Heart, and it's one which honors California's large veteran community and service members who have been injured or, as I said, gave their life in combat. We get a lot of resolutions, but this certainly identifies with California because California is obviously the largest state, home to many different bases from, going all the way back to World War I, World War II, and I go on and on and on. And if you tallied up the number of individuals that received this basically it's just a ribbon. Ironically enough, it's got a picture of George Washington on it. And if you look at some of the other medals and ribbons, it probably has the most significance of any award given out. So I know Mr. Norby is not going to vote or support this resolution, and I'm not going to ask the Norwegian caucus to break a precedent which they've been trying to establish for a number of years. But I am going to ask the rest of the members to join with me to support what I consider something very worthwhile that pays homage to our veterans and those who have been killed in combat. So I ask that for your aye vote and that the first roll be open for co-authors. Thank you.
Ms. Grove.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As someone who served in the military, not in a combat zone, but representing veterans in our community that have served in combat zones, I would ask everybody to support this resolution. Becoming one of the nation's first Purple Heart state is really important for California because it sets a precedence to show that we really do support our veterans. We have almost 2 million veterans in this state, and many of them are Purple Heart winners, including recipients, including an individual that I brought up here for Veterans of the Year. He received 3 Purple Hearts. The last one took both of his legs at the knees down because of a roadside bomb. He is now on his way to Washington, D.C. via a hand crank pedal bike to bring awareness to veterans because it seems like our country and sometimes our state has forgotten the service that our veterans have put forth and the freedoms that they've given us. So I would ask that you would support Colonel Cook on this resolution and that we have a tremendous amount of green lights on the other side.
Okay, seeing no further questions or debate, Mr. Colonel Cook asks for the first roll to be open for co-authors. Co-authors, members, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. This is for co-authors. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. There are 69 co-authors. We can take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The measure is adopted. And file item 6, ACR 119. Clerk will read.
Assembly concurrent resolution 119 by Assemblymember Galgiani and others relative to California Agriculture Day.
Ms. Galgiani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. ACR 119 honors California's Agriculture Day, a day of celebration commemorating agriculture's vital role in keeping Californians nourished. The theme of 2012 California Agriculture Day is Know Your California Farmer. On Wednesday, March 21st, agriculturalists from around California will have displays on the west lawn of the Capitol to show how ag drives California. Today's agricultural industry offers over 300 career opportunities, from on-farm cultivation to food science and engineering. California has been the largest ag state in the country for the last 63 years. The value of 2009 production was $34.8 billion. There are more than 80,000 farms and ranches in California producing more than 400 commodities. 79% of farms are individual or family-owned, and on average, more than 20% of California ag production is exported. The value of California ag exports in 2009 was $12.4 billion. California is the only state to export olives, almonds, pistachios, and raisins. California leads the nation in organic farms. In 2008, organic sales in California totaled $2.3 billion, and nationally, sales were $6.3 billion. On Wednesday, March 21st, please visit the West Steps and see for yourself how ag drives California. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Berryhill.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, members, I just want to stand in support of this ACR. Clearly, as Assemblymember Galgiani said, agriculture is the backbone of California's economy. It's imperative as we move forward that we make sure that we get water without throwing one part of the state under the bus, but that we get water that's a balanced approach to our friends in the South, because agriculture right now, and you can't always say this, but agriculture is being is hot. It's hot for export, and that helps balance our trade, and it helps this economy and our general funds. So everything we can do to find a good balanced approach to water so that we can continue to produce like we have in the past is all positive, and so I rise in support of ACR 119.
Mr. Monning. Mr. Nielsen.
Speaker and colleagues, I speak as a farmer. That is where my heart will always be. And it is indeed the bounty of the land and the fruits of the land that derive from the rain and from our marvelous soils in this state and our climate that make this the #1 agricultural state. But I would argue that that in itself would not be enough, because we had that in pre-agrarian times in California. It's the resolve of our farmers and ranchers, men and women, the workers on our farms, who make that bounty possible. We have the natural resources, but you could not do it without the human beings, and they are the true ones we celebrate in Agriculture Week.
Mr. V. Manuel Perez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and Kathleen Galgiani, Assemblywoman Kathleen Galgiani, for bringing this important resolution forth. Good morning, members. Definitely want to express my, as well, interest in ag for the state of California, specifically for Imperial and Riverside County. But it was mentioned before that in 2010, we were at about $34.5 billion in cash receipts. Last year alone, we were at $37.5 billion in revenues here for the state of California. And in Imperial County, we're talking about $1.6 billion in cash receipts, ranking it 10th in the state, or in the nation, rather. And as well, Riverside County, $1.1 billion, ranking it 13th in the state of California. And I also just want to say, I want to put in a plug for the organizations that have worked hard to ensure that agriculture and its economy stay strong in the state of California. The California Women for Agriculture, for example, as well as the Imperial County and Riverside County Farm Bureaus, but as well our youth and our high schools that are participating through Future Farmers of America, as well as the 4-H, as well as the Grange. These students need to continuously be supported through their programs, and we need to do everything we can to support them. And it was mentioned that we should also support and appreciate the workers themselves, and I agree. As a matter of fact, it's documented that 50% of folks working in agriculture are undocumented workers, and those are documented on paper. Some would say that it's up to 75% that are undocumented. And so I think it's important that we think about this from the perspective of ensuring that we continue to support the agricultural economy and the industry because it's helpful for the state of California. We support our growers, and as well we support our youth that are learning. And at the same time, let's also support our workers. And I would like to just state as well that it's also important that we think through the future of comprehensive immigration reform because I think that'll also help our economy. Kathleen Galgiani, I want to thank you for bringing this forth. And I'd like to also ask others to support this resolution.
Mr. Alejo.
Madam Speaker and members, I also rise as a child and grandchild of the migrant farm workers to support this resolution celebrating and supporting the agriculture industry here in California. I thank our Assembly, our chair of our Assembly Agriculture Committee, Kathleen Galgiani, for bringing it to attention. I think it's important that we take a moment to recognize the hard work that goes into keeping our agriculture industry thriving. I represent the second largest Assembly district that focuses on agriculture, represent the thousands of families that have good jobs because of that as well. Within my district, I'm very proud that we have places like Gilroy, which is known as the garlic capital of the world, my hometown, the city of Watsonville, the strawberry capital, Castroville, the artichoke capital, and the Salinas Valley, known as the salad bowl of the world, because we grow we put food on the table of not only our country, but other parts of the world as well. But it's also important that we recognize the hard work that our farmers put forward, and also the many workers that are out there toiling in the fields as we speak. They're out there working hard in fields all across California, and certainly couldn't be done without them. But there's certainly things that we can continue to do here to support agriculture, addressing key issues such as water and other regulations and other things that could keep farmers in business. But also another key issue that we don't often talk about, who is going to be the next generation of farmers. And so it's important that we focus on our young people, teach them how important it is to and how important agriculture is to California and to businesses, and especially in the rural areas all across our Golden State. I ask for your support of this resolution today.
Dr. Halderman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Assembly Member Galgiani. On behalf of all of us who engage in agriculture, ranching, and farming, not simply for money but for love, I invite each of you to join us on Wednesday, March 21st on the West Steps. We'll be holding a demonstration of what ranching and farming really is. And if you have kids, feel free to bring them over and meet alpacas. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll for co-authors. First roll open for co-authors. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. This is for co-authors. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. There are 68 co-authors. We could take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The measure is adopted. This concludes the business on the daily file. We will now move to adjourn in memories and announcements. Mr. Speaker has the first adjourn in memory. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I rise to adjourn in memory of a former member of the Assembly family, Ava Rutland, who worked in this institution in the 1960s after settling in California with her family. Ms. Rutland was born in Atlanta, Georgia, in a home built by her grandfather after his emancipation following the end of the Civil War. Her mother was a teacher, and her father was a pharmacist. They encouraged her to make the most of her potential, and to that end, she attended Spelman College. Following her successful academic career, she married Bill Rutland, a civil employee at the Tuskegee Air Force Base. Her husband's career ultimately took them to California, where he served in a number of positions, ultimately serving as deputy director of McClellan Air Force Base and as a member of the Sacramento City Unified School District Board of Trustees. Ms. Rutland enjoyed success as a writer, having been published in numerous magazines, including Red Book, Ladies' Home Journal, and Women's Day. She was also an author of a semi-biographical work of fiction, No Crystal Stair, which discussed many of the challenges facing black women in the post-war period. She's perhaps best known for a book that was originally titled The Trouble Being a Mama and was later reissued under the title When We Were Colored, A Mother's Story, which recounted her experiences raising children during the period when the first steps towards integration were being taken in California and nationally. She was a warm, vibrant soul whose life is an eloquent testimony to the values of diversity, inclusion, and respect that we are proud to share. She is survived by her 4 children, Elsie, William Jr., Patty Jo, and Ginger, and her 7 grandchildren, including John Hooper, and 7 great-grandchildren. I respectfully ask that we adjourn in memory of Ms. Rutland.
Ms. Atkins.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. San Diego lost a cherished member of its community this weekend with the passing of Charles McCain on Saturday from complications of Alzheimer's disease. A San Diego native, Charlie was retired as an attorney from the California Court of Appeals. In many ways, I'm standing here today as a result of Charlie's work. In 1990, Charlie worked with other underrepresented communities in San Diego to put into place district-based elections so that these communities had more direct representation and a better opportunity to elect one of their own to the San Diego City Council. This led to the groundbreaking election of Senator Christine Kehoe to the City Council, and I was really honored to be elected to that seat upon her election to the state legislature. Charlie was also active as a member of the state and local Democratic parties. In 1980, he became one of the first openly gay delegates to the Democratic National Convention. He represented San Diego at the national conventions in 1992, 96, and in 2000. Charlie is survived by his sister, Charlene, and by his husband, Bob McWilliams, whom he married in 2008 after more than 3 decades together. Charlie was a dear friend. He had a quiet and charming manner that could belie his fierce commitment to fairness, and progress. He will be sorely missed.
Ms. Carter.
Madam Speaker and members, I'd like to join in memory of San Bernardino County's beloved pioneer educator, Dr. Dorothy Ella Ingram. She passed away last week. She was 106 years old. Ms. Ingram was born in San Bernardino, November 9, 1905, the youngest of 7 children. She attended San Bernardino Valley College, where she wrote the music for the school's alma mater, and later she received a bachelor's degree from the University of Redlands and a master's in education. She served as a principal and the first black district superintendent in the state of California, eventually lending her name to one of San Bernardino's public libraries. An elementary school in San Bernardino is also named for her brother, Howard Ingram, who was a physician in San Bernardino. When she retired from education in 1971, she went on to write 4 books. One book includes a history of her family's life in San Bernardino from 1888 until her retirement. At the age of 97, she was presented with an honorary doctorate of letters from Cal State San Bernardino. When Miss Ingram was 100 years old, she was still participating in bowling with her league in San Bernardino. Until recently, she was accepting speaking engagements and book signing events. Miss Ingram attended her church, St. Paul AME, last Sunday and passed away on Wednesday. Her parents were among the founders of that church. I still remember one of the many services I attended there and was so touched by the honor and appreciation the members had for her. After the opening hymn and prayer, the congregation continued to stand, and the minister and deacons would go to where Miss Ingram was sitting and kneel and pray and say a special prayer of thanksgiving for the gift of life of Miss Dorothy Ingram. One of her greatest memories was receiving a letter from President Obama on her 106th birthday. I am but one of San Bernardino County's citizens who are thankful for the life of Miss Ingram, for her life was full of lessons and examples, and I, like so many others, am morally obligated to remember and to emulate those life's lessons. I appreciate the opportunity to adjourn in her memory.
Thank you, members. Please bring the names to the desk to be printed in the journal. Okay, the session schedule is as follows. Tuesday, March 20th, check-in session. Wednesday, March 21st, check-in session. Thursday, March 22nd, floor session at 9 a.m. Friday, March 23rd, no session, no check-in. All other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions shall be continued. We are going to recess the floor session until 3:45 p.m. Is there any other business in the regular session? Seeing none, when we return at 3:45, the only order of business will be the State of the Judiciary Address. This House stands in recess until 3:45 p.m.